When you go 48 hours without food, it also upregulates antioxidants. And it specifically upregulates antioxidants that will slow down the aging process. So let's break down how you do the 48-hour fast, why you would do it. So let's go high level here for a moment. There are 4 different reasons I love the 48-hour fast. And these are all backed by science. We will put the links in the notes so you science hounds can go and find the information on it. But here's the 4 main points to know. First, 48 hours resets dopamine pathways. This is what that looks like. You have a happy thought that comes through because dopamine is that molecule that gives you sort of that elevated, excited moment. It's the molecule of more when you get something you like and then you are like, ooh, that felt really great. Now I want more of it. That's dopamine. And so it resets those pathways. When a happy thought comes across a neuronal pathway, it has to jump to another neuron and carry that happy thought. It's like a highway. Think of it like a joy highway going on in your brain. But because of toxins, because of poor diet, because of the dopamine saturation that we get in our daily life, this highway gets congested, and it is the 48-hour fast that resets it. So think of it like you are in a traffic jam, you are upset, and all of a sudden a police officer comes in and takes the whole highway and moves all the traffic out of the way. And now you can go down the highway effortlessly. There's a feeling of joy and excitement that you just did a work around this traffic jam. It's the same thing when you go 48 hours. It decongests the highway of dopamine, and all of a sudden the little things in life that may have not been bringing you joy will bring you joy again. I promise. And those of you who've done 48-hour fast, put it in the comments, because I've seen so many of you who have told me that this really rebooted your joy levels. So that's the first thing. Second thing is it creates new dopamine, what we call D2 receptor sites. So you go 48 hours and all of a sudden you create new receptor sites that are going to invite dopamine into the neurons so you can experience joy. This would be like, again, if we go back to the traffic jam, it would be like you all of a sudden getting new exits off this traffic jam into a more free-flowing lane. That would bring you joy. And if you don't live in a traffic-filled area, you know how great it is when all of a sudden a traffic jam breaks free. You definitely feel joy. Same thing in the brain. When we open up these receptor sites and we create new ones, now when we get a dopamine response, whether it's from food or whether it's from an interaction with a person or a ding on our phone, we have more receptor sites to pull the dopamine into the neurons and to experience joy. So that's the second thing this 48-hour fast does. Okay, third thing. This is one of my favorite. What we see at 48 hours is that the Krebs cycle, which is the cycle within the mitochondria that makes you energy. When you go 48 hours without food, it also upregulates antioxidants. And it specifically upregulates antioxidants that will slow down the aging process. The way we've seen this in our community is that upregulation of antioxidants makes you feel supercharged, gives you energy. So now you're not only getting these dopamine pathways reset, but you're getting a burst of energy. That also can make you happy. And the last thing, and again, another reason this fast works so well is because it upregulates human growth hormone by 500%. Okay, human growth hormone is the hormone that helps you burn fat. So when we go into 48-hour fasts, we are not only creating more joy and more dopamine responses, we're not only slowing down the aging process, but we are getting to a place where we can release hormones by a large amount, 500%, that's gonna help us burn fat and help us with weight loss resistance. So those 4 things alone make this one of my favorite fasts. And if you are stuck in a rut, you're stuck with your weight loss, you're stuck with your mental health, this is the fast to throw at it. When you're fasting, the longer you fast, the more repair happens. And it happens to your neurochemical system. So you get neurotransmitters that are upregulated, you get receptor sites, new receptor sites that form. We talked about that on the last video. You repair neurons in the brain. There's so much magic happening, and the longer you fast, you are turning on the repair system. So we like 48 hours to think about it as the 48-hour fast is repairing the brain so that you can have better mental health. Just like the 13-hour fast is amazing for learning how to get into ketosis and starting to get your body, the system that burns fat, repairing that system. 17-hour fast is really great. I love the 17-hour fast. Hits autophagy for detoxing old cells out. We love 36 hours for repairing your fat burning system, but the 48-hour fast is all about the brain. It's all about mental health. And here's why it works. So when we are looking at different neurotransmitters, we have to realize, and different reactions to fasting, we have to realize that each repair of these neurotransmitters is creating a different response for you, for your brain. So let me explain myself. Ketones. Ketones are not a neurotransmitter, but they are made when we fast. The body burns fat, and the byproduct of that burning is something called a ketone. The longer you fast, the more ketones go up. When ketones go up, so does a neurotransmitter called GABA. And GABA is the calming neurotransmitter. So when we are fasting, even at these lower hours, you don't always have to go to 48 to get the ketones. Some of you are getting it at 13. But the minute ketones come on the scene, so does GABA, and it calms you. Try having a conversation with anybody who's been in a 3 to 5 day water fast, and you will see that they are zenned out. And largely that's because those ketones are kicking in, creating more of a GABA response. Typically what we see from looking at hundreds of thousands of people fasting is it takes about at least 17 hours to get some ketones that will release GABA, but some of you who are experienced are getting it as little as 13. So that's the calming neurotransmitter that will boost your moods. Then we have dopamine. So dopamine is joy, motivation, and drive. You reset dopamine at 48 hours. You don't get the dopamine reset in these early ones as much. You gotta go to 48 hours. So if you know that you're a dopamine addicted, which no judgment here. I am definitely a dopamine addicted human, and I've been working on this. But when you are not experiencing joy in life, or you need that bigger and bigger moment to get to that joyful time, then you've got to start to look at throwing in a 48-hour fast. Once a month, you could do it once a quarter, but when we want to improve dopamine, we go 48 hours. Okay, now this is key. This is key for you dopamine addicts out there. So when you get the thing you've been chasing, so let's say it's a performance an athletic performance, and you win, and you're like, the dopamine high is real. In that moment, what your body wants to do, or what it should naturally do, is it should switch from dopamine to serotonin. So you get the dopamine high, you feel amazing, and then serotonin should come in. Serotonin is what makes you feel like, yes, I did a really good job. So when we go back to that idea of like a big event, like a competition that you win, the dopamine is high, but then we want to switch over to serotonin for the satisfaction. Now, what's interesting with serotonin is that serotonin should kick in even when you're looking at your phone all day long and you're like addicted to that phone, and you get the dings and the likes from social media. That's all dopamine. But you've got to have some serotonin moments. You've got to make some serotonin to be able to feel satisfied from that. I don't know about you, but there's too much dopamine in the phone, not enough serotonin. And so we want to make sure we're building serotonin through fasting, but that you're also doing some activities that build serotonin that I'll talk about in a moment. Okay, I got to interrupt this video because I have a free guide for you so you can master fasting. It's called A Beginner's Guide to a Fasting Lifestyle. And all you've got to do is click here and you can jump right in. So serotonin, all made in the gut. Serotonin is your satisfaction, your focus, and your calming hormone. And it comes onto the scene after dopamine, and it tells you, job well done. You did a good job. And we can reboot the serotonin system by rebooting our gastrointestinal microbiome, and that happens at 24 hours. So throw in, if you know you're struggling with satisfaction, you feel like you're dopamine addicted, and you're never getting that sense of like job well done, or you're never feeling quite content, it's time to look at serotonin. And we can do that by throwing in a 24-hour fast. In that scenario, I would throw in a 24-hour fast at least once a week. Now here's how you can put this all together. How about you use some of the variations that I talk about where 5 days a week, you go into the fast, you do a 17-hour fast, and that 17-hour fast primes the ketogenic fat-burning system, gives you more ketones, gives you GABA so you can be calm. Do that 5 days a week. Then 1 day a week, we do a longer fast. We do 24-hour fasts, and that's going to repair the gastrointestinal microbiome, and it's going to help you make more serotonin so you can feel more satisfied. And then 1 day a week, as you all know, I say don't fast so we can mimic our primal ancestors in their feast-famine cycling and we never get stuck. Now with the dopamine fast, throw in once a month. If you're really depressed, throw in once a month, a 48-hour fast to reset that dopamine system, or once a quarter. So it's a little bit like juggling, you know, we're throwing one ball up and we're using that tool for right now, and then that comes down and we throw another ball up, we use that tool. But when it comes to moods, these are your three tools. Let's get some ketones for calm. Let's go into the longer 48-hour fast to reset the dopamine pathways, and let's work on our gut so that we can make sure we're making enough serotonin for satisfaction. And last thing I'll tell you on serotonin is you can start to build serotonin a little bit more by being patient. So looking at activities that are going to take a little longer to do, that starts to prime the serotonin system. Whereas dopamine is your addiction. It is give it to me quick, give it to me big, and you have that high. Serotonin says, let's be slow and methodical and patient, and you will be satisfied. Dopamine says, no, give it to me all at once, and I will be happy. They both right. They both have some benefit in the brain, but we want to balance them. So there you go. I've never done a video like this where I just lay out all these neurotransmitters for moods. So let me know if it's helpful. Okay, so if you love this video, you're going to want to check out the next video in my fasting series. You have to have enough of a time period for that blood sugar to come down so that you can switch over. And then once you click into this fasted state, now the trick is, how do we stay there longer?